Hi, everyone. I hope that you and your family are doing well. I know this is a very difficult time for everyone, and I appreciate the fact that people have remained engaged in the class. Many of you, this is difficult because you're trying to teach online while you're also caring for children and you're also taking an online course. So I'm sensitive to that fact that for a lot of people, this is really a challenge. For some of you, you're just going stir crazy. You might not have as many things to do in your house and you have a lot of time to put into the course. So there's a wide variety of people depending on your circumstance or situation. I just wanted to take a couple minutes to go through the feedback that I received from your integration logs. So I asked you at the beginning of the integration log to share how your group was doing, how the course was going so far. And I received a lot of feedback. Actually, I was very pleased with the feedback overall. People seem to be enjoying the group process and groups kind of figured out how to do things. There were definitely some hiccups in the process, and I want to take a few moments to go through a couple of the concerns that people raised and just give a response to those. So um, the first thing that people said, or there were only a couple people, but a couple people mentioned that they didn't like to do group work. And one of the reasons that sometimes people hesitate to do group work is it's difficult to figure out who's going to do what and how the work will be distributed fairly. But the other piece about doing group work is that some people like to set their own time schedule for the online course. The group work requires that each person jump in early on in the module and engage with other members of the class. So that might be new for some of you, but this is a course that requires ongoing support, not just on the weekends, but throughout the week as well. So you'll have to set aside time for that. The next issue that came up was the timeliness of responses from group members. A couple people mentioned that they had some people in their group that didn't respond to group texts or group emails in a timely way. I know there were some issues with a few people with their McDaniel email address needing to be adjusted so that they receive email through the McDaniel email, and that's been fixed, so there shouldn't be a problem. But please check your McDaniel email on a regular basis so that you know you're getting communication from your group. The other feedback that I received was about the collaboration tools that groups used. The collaboration tools for many of you are new and different, and some groups chose to use a tool that other people had not worked with. This means that there's going to be a learning curve for learning how to use those particular tools. That's always the case whenever you're using new technologies. One thing you can do is really encourage your group in Module 2 to use some of the similar tools that you used in Module 1. But even if you have to use new tools, I'm sure that everyone will figure out how to navigate those like you did in Module 1. The next part is dealing with so much information. So in module number 1, there was a lot of information that was collected by individuals, and the challenge was to pull those together as a group project. What I'm going to give you as a suggestion for module 2 is, instead of starting with all the information that's presented by the different groups, hone in on key brain-based strategies that you would like to share that you think might be relevant for all the groups. What that can look like is you come up with 6 or 7 strategies, and then each group member would talk about how that strategy relates to the needs of their particular group, and can then share the information as to why that strategy works for their particular group. That's a lot easier to kind of pull it together when you're just focusing in on the strategies first. Again, that's a suggestion. You don't have to do it that way, but it might be a way that's helpful or beneficial. One thing that was mentioned in the first module is that some materials were more relevant than others. That's always going to be the case. So when you read different articles, when you pull out different information, you're going to find that some of them are more connected, some of them are less connected, but the idea is that everything that you read will have some connection point for you in terms of what it is that you're doing. So don't be concerned if you find out that one source of information isn't as relevant as another source. That's just kind of the nature of gathering a wide array of information. And then finally, one of the issues that always is the case in group work is that sometimes more weight is put on one person to compile information. Now, this is not always a problem in the sense that sometimes people volunteer to pull things together in the end that the group has worked together to create. As long as the group has worked together to pull their learning into one piece, it's okay if a person completes the PowerPoint presentation slides. There's nothing wrong with that. But if that person is synthesizing all the information on their own, that's not a group process. So what I'm suggesting is that you work to allow each person to be a part of the final compilation process. And this can be done through PowerPoint in the notes boxes. So each person can write notes, or the notes can be written so each member can review them and say, yes, that's relevant, that relates to me. And then one person or multiple people can narrate the slides. You can do your slides in PowerPoint, your narration in PowerPoint this time. So feel free to allow each person to narrate a slide, and then that can be uploaded to VoiceThread, where the sound will also occur in VoiceThread. So that's basically the information that I gained from the feedback that you've given to me. Please, please do not hesitate to contact me if you have other concerns or questions. I'm happy to help you. I've talked to a few people by phone. I've emailed a few people. I've been able to monitor group process, so I have a general sense of how things are going. But don't be afraid to reach out to me if you have any concerns.